Greetings, YouTube, and we're here at the Regina Regionals, and I'm with
Magnus.
And what'd you do today?
I got top 8 at the Regina Regionals here with Despia.
Cool. Let's just take a look-see.
Okay, it's a lot of it is standard, but the deck list is definitely a little bit odd. Mainly just because I wasn't drawing good hands with all the normal builds with Lure, and I just decided to cut it and play something different. But the standard stuff is 3 Aliber, 2 Tragedy, and 1 Ad Libitum for the Despia stuff. I like this. I just found that with everything else that I tried, like playing comedy or dramaturge, that I just drew too many hands that bricked and didn't do anything, and these are the essential ones. Then I played 3 Fallen of Albaz and 2 Albion. Initially I had 3, and then just last minute I cut the 3rd Albion to add back in Branded Lost, just because the card is really good in the mirror. But my reason for this here is that it's the Albion is basically an upstart, and it sets up Fallen of Albaz and Graves that you can use Branded in red turn 1 if you need to dodge Veilers or something like that, or any other kind of effect negation, or if you just brick and don't draw one of your 10 like actual starters or 11 starters. So I wanted a little bit more consistency, just if I draw awkward hands.
Fair enough.
And then the 3 Edge Imp Chain, 1 Fairy Tale Snow, and then I played 3 hand traps as mainly just as cross-out targets. Cross-out and hand traps in general just did not come up for me at all. I think once I used cross-out on a Fairy Tale Snow, but nothing else.
How well did Snow perform for you today?
Snow was great. Snow didn't come up a lot, I would say. It was, I think, just twice, but when it did, it was essentially just game winning. The extra interruption is really valuable, and it's essentially free, right? So it's just something that's hard to interact with and can really disrupt your opponent.
And I see you didn't have Ecclesia in your build. If you could, would you have played it, or are you fine without it?
I'm certainly fine without it. My buddy, who also topped, he got 4th place, I think. He was playing Ecclesia, and his build is a lot more standard than mine, I think. But having 2 lights is good. I think if I were to try out Ecclesia, I'd probably cut the just all the hand traps and play Snow plus Ecclesia, cut the hand traps and the crossouts, and maybe just try a build like that. Because I do like having the 2 lights. Access to more than 1 is kind of nice, and then Ecclesia is valuable because there's sort of you do tend to run out of cards with this deck, so being able to have a continuous discard is kind of nice. So it is something that I might try out in the future.
All right.
That's it for the monsters. Spells, the standard 3 opening, 3 fusion, and then sort of complement those Albions, I went with 3 Branded in red again, mainly so that I can just try and play as often as possible. This did cost me the last round, where I opened Branded in red with no Albion to send any Albaz to the grave, and I had no other way to fuse. So
would you still stick with 3?
It depends. If I keep on playing cross-out, then I think 3 is also a little bit better, just because in the mirror match you'll have access to 2, and you can banish the 3rd one with cross-out. So from that point of view, it might be good. I'll probably keep playing. I'll try and keep playing it at 3, because I think it's really powerful. But it is one of the cards that's always kind of first to get cut.
Probably easy side out too.
Yeah. 3 Super Poly, which is ridiculous. There weren't too many blowouts with it, but I did win every game that I drew it, so it's a really, I just don't think it should be in the game. 3 crossouts, which barely came up. Then I only played 2 Patchwork and then 2 Poly. I played 2 Patchwork and 3 Edge Imp Chain, just because the Edge Imp Chain is a monster, essentially. So if you open it, along with polymerization and Albaz you can play, but if and that's sort of later on in the line too. If you you'll be able to you can pitch the first chain, search Patchwork, then activate Patchwork, and you'll end your turn with a dead Edge Imp chain in hand. And I felt that having a dead monster in hand was sort of better than the other way around. Is if you open with Patchwork, use it to search the chain, and then chain will search you the Patchwork, then there's nothing in your hand left to fuse on your opponent's turn. So I thought it was better to do it this way around. And then the one-ofs, there's the Branded Lost, Called by, Gold Sark, and Foolish. These two are really just, again, I wanted to have as many starters as possible so that the deck was consistent. Called by is just very strong, and Branded Lost, I wasn't playing it for quite a while, but just because it is very good in the mirror, and in certain other matches too, there's some cool tricks you can do with stuff on summon, so it is good. And I decided to put it back in, and it performed well, but it wasn't amazing. And that's it for the main deck. It's 41 cards.
Love to see it.
For the extra deck, I just had 1 Lubellion, 2 Mirror Jades, 3 Albion, then 1 Keratis, 1 Dragostapelia, 2 Masquerades, 2 Chimera, Sprint, the Iron Dash Dragon, for all those people citing Contact C. It didn't come up. Titanic Clad and Priskenian. I think this is more or less standard. I think pretty much everyone is sort of switching over to 1 Lubellion and 3 Albion at this point. It's especially if you have multiple lights in deck, it's kind of cool to have more Albion, and Lubellion usually just shuffles itself back to make Mirror Jade, so you really don't need more than one, I found.
So this question is going to get asked, so I'll just ask it for them. Guardian Chimera, how do you feel about 2, or can you get away with 1?
Oh, you can certainly get away with 1. I haven't been playing the deck for all that long, but I've never made 2 Guardian Chimera in any match. So you really don't need 2. You do need 1, I would say. The deck is a lot less impactful if you can't set up a Guardian Chimera play for their turn, but the second one has never come up for me.
Fair enough.
I think instead, like, you could just play a second Dragostapelia. This card is really, really good.
Oh yeah.
Because you can, it's probably a bit more than just the really standard play, but you can often end on Mirror Jade, Dragostapelia with a Branded in red face down, and especially if you have access to Ad Libitum, which you usually will, it's just a lot of interruptions where you have Banish and Negate, and then you can go into Chimera, bring back the Mirror Jade, so you have additional pops off the Chimera and another Banish. So it's very hard to play through.
I can confirm that.
Yes. Yep, you sure can.
Doubled the price, man, and I want to set.
You know why? I did the same thing.
And then for the side, I went with the Zombie World and Banshee package just because I didn't want to lose to Flunder, and it's good against other random decks. That's like this Regina Regionals I wasn't expecting it to be all meta decks, so I thought this was pretty good. I never sided it in, but again, buddy of mine did, and it was against, I think, Machina that he sided it in, and it did some work there, so it can help against random decks. And I played 1 Twin Twisters and 2 Cyclone, just back row removal, generic. I don't know, maybe I should have played just 3 Cyclone, but I sort of liked having access to Twin Twisters because you do often want to hit multiple back row with 1 go. The downside is that discards can be a little bit scarce in this deck because you usually need all your cards. 2D barrier. This was, A cross-out target, but B, just a really good card against Sword Soul and for the mirror match. It never really came up for me. I did side it in and saw it, but it wasn't wasn't ever that great. But it is a very, very strong card, so I think I'll certainly consider or keep on siding it. One red reboot. That was the one time that I did activate Dimensional Barrier. I got hit with the red reboot, so it's also a very strong card that I think you kind of just have to side if you're playing this deck, because D-Barrier stops you in your tracks. And then 3 Nibiru for combo decks and Sword Soul. And finally the 3 Evenly Matched for pretty much the same decks, and just like backrow decks, or like really many kinds of decks. Even Despia, you can probably side it in against.
Yeah, Evenly is really good.
Yeah, it's I like it. I certainly was very happy to draw it when I sided it in, and it won me some games. So, yeah, that's it.
All right, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You have any shout outs you want to give?
I'll give a shout out to Ryan.
Devin has my third Regulus.
Got his top here along with me. He got an actual top because he got the invite as well. But we faced each other in the last round, so it was kind of nice to see that one of us would top, but unfortunate that we both couldn't get the top 4.
Well, it was nice to have a couple of us get a top after it's been like almost 10 years since we last had a regionals here, so
Yeah.
glad to see that Regina got some rep at the top tables. And yeah, thank you for giving us your profile, sir.
Yeah, thank you for doing the profile.